Hi everybody, cooking with Phil today. Today we're going to do some stuffed bell peppers. I've already began taking off the stems and de-seeding. Now I have a kind of a weird way of cutting the tops off. I usually go around the inside because I like the pepper, so I like the more flesh that I get, the better. And these are the ones that are the most expensive, the yellows and the orange. So I'm going to seed these, and I'm going to grow these next year and not pay as much money. These were like $2 a piece, man, at the local store, so not cheap. As opposed to these, like, were I think 88 cents a piece, or less than $1. But in any case, let me show you what I do. What I do is I just kind of go around the inside and leave a little rim in the top of the pepper. Now this one doesn't have a stem, so it's going to be a little bit harder to pull out, but that's it. And then I just take out the membranes, the veins, trying not to split the pepper, because a lot of times that'll happen when you stuff them, so I don't want to split them. And I empty out the seeds. You usually rinse them a little bit just to get the rest of the seeds out, and that's that. Now the other method is a lot of people will do just straight down. Okay, and then they just reach in and grab out the seed. So most of the peppers that you see stuffed will be stuffed like this. Now you see the difference? There's a lot of waste. I don't like wasting my peppers, especially when you're paying for them. And that's a lot of waste. So what I'll do in this case, with this extra remnant, is I'll chop this up, dice it, and I'll throw it in the ground beef when I end up making it. So I won't waste any. And that's a good idea for any of you who want to kind of conserve your pepper remnants. If you still have good pepper left, just dice it up and toss it in the meat when you stuff it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get the stainless bowl, get my ground beef and my other ingredients, and we're going to go ahead and mix that up, and then I'll go ahead and show you how I do that. But until then, we'll be back. Hi everybody, we're back. In my stainless bowl, I have 3.5 pounds of ground beef. You can use regular ground, you can use premium ground beef, ground chuck, ground, whatever you want, as long as it's 3.5 pounds. And the little sprinkles on there are some of the parsley that I had left over on my knife. Speaking of which, I'm going to put 1/2 cup of parsley, 1 tablespoon of chopped garlic, 1/2 cup of chopped onions, 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs of your choice. I use personally like a mixture. We kind of save our bread pieces around our house and we let them dry out and we grind them up in our Cuisinart or little grinder or whatever you want to call it. So I got a little compilation here of some sourdough and sweet French and such like that. So 1/2 cup of that. Got about 1/8 of a cup of orange juice. I got about 1 tablespoon each of teriyaki and Worcestershire. 1 egg. And I believe it's half a teaspoon each of salt and pepper. Sorry about the back. And I'll get my little plastic glove here. And we mix this up. while I'm mixing it, I'll just tell you that generally I cook these things in a pot first. I kind of braise them in a large pot. I'll show you that technique later after I'm done mixing and stuffing. But basically it's not an oven dish. This is a pot dish. So my grandmother used to use some pots called Guardian Service. They're heavy, thick aluminum, and they cook really good. And we've kind of kept the tradition. You know, rest in peace, Grandma. She passed on, and she left us some of her cookware. So we like to cook in the stuff my grandmother used to use. This is not her recipe, by the way. This is kind of my own. But it's comfort food for my family. We've always had stuffed bell peppers. My mom made them regularly. So I kind of continued the tradition. So what we got now is we have the mixture pretty much blended. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the glove, grab the pot that I was going to use. I'll show you that. So we'll be back. Hi everybody, we're back. Basically we have the mixture all done. I got my pot. Now this is the pot that I was talking about. This thing's, oh God, I don't know, 60 years old maybe? It's called the Guardian Service. It's all aluminum, well used. My grandmother used this for many, many years making pots and pots and pots of homemade spaghetti sauce filled with goodness. And love, of course. You can hear it's pretty thick. I would say this stuff is maybe 1/8 of an inch thick in American Standard rule. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this off to the side, and I'm going to take my bell peppers and begin stuffing. And I stuff them until they're basically full to the brim. Then I place them inside, standing up at this point, and we're going to fry them to get a start on them, and we'll finish baking them off either on the stovetop, or I can put them in the oven and bake them off in the oven as well. But it's really your choice. If you want to heat up the oven, heat up the kitchen, you can do it that way, or you can keep them on the stovetop and just let them bubble away. Now I'm going to take this here, the one that I cut flat across the top. I'll stuff that, probably stuff that even more full. I would say, just guessing, probably 1/3 of a pound to maybe a 1/2 pound worth of meat. So it's quite a big stuffed pepper. 1 or 2 of those is probably a meal for anybody. Generally, I can have 2 because I have quite the appetite. And I'm going to stuff these green ones with nothing but the mixture that I showed you. And I saved the 2 specialty peppers, the yellow and the orange one. Well, I'm going to kick those up a little notch. Okay, so basically all those are full. So we have 1/2 bell peppers in this Guardian Service pot. And what I'm going to do is I'll heat the pot up, maybe on medium-high, put a little olive oil in the pot, and begin to fry them. And I'll fry them a little bit on each side, try to get the fried sides all, balanced a good fry all the way around, in other words. And then what I'll do is I'll put in a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce and about 3 beef bouillon cubes, and then begin the cooking process. At that point, cover it and put it on the stovetop. Let that bubble away and start to melt those beef bouillon cubes, and then I'll incorporate all that together. Then I'll get one of these guys. I'm not sure what the dang thing's called, but you know what I'm talking about. And then we suck the tomato sauce up, and I'll baste it. A baster. Duh. So we'll be back in a minute. Hi everybody, we're back. That end of the bell pepper I chopped up, and I'm going to put it in there. Mix it up with the rest. Give it a little bit of a chili flavor, because we're going to kick this up a little bit. These are my peppers. I don't think the family's going to like these. Well, PJ might. Phil Jr. He might like them. But what we're going to use, this is a yellow 7-pot. Trinidad Scorpion, comes from Trinidad, and you can see the stinger on it. What I've done is I've dried them and ground that stuff up. And I'm going to put probably 1/8 of a teaspoon in it. That should fire it up real nice. Oh, and I smell that wonderful naga fragrance, the scorpion fragrance rather. That stuff smells so good. I'm actually going to put a little more of that. That should warm my mouth up nice. Sorry about my fingers, and woo! Be careful when you sprinkle your powder, because it does have a tendency of getting airborne, and it will flow right into your nostrils, and it'll make you remember. It's super hot, so I'm going to take my beautiful yellow, stuff it, and my beautiful orange, and stuff it. Oops. Slinging stuff all over the place here. Take a little bit of that off. And put that in the bigger guy. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to fry those up first, and then we'll bake them off in the oven. So I'll be back. I'll show you that. Okay, everybody. I hope you can hear me good. What I'm doing is I'm partially frying these bad boys. You can hear them crackling and popping for. This is the most difficult part. Because they don't want to cooperate all the time. So it's hard to lay them over. But basically you just want to start frying them. Let me lower that. And just get them started. Sorry about all that popping. And then what I've done is I've got a mixture of the tomato sauce, some hot water, about maybe a half a can or maybe almost a whole can. And I've put the bouillon cubes in it already. And if I can dig one up, they're already in it. So what I'm going to try to do is crush them. and get them to blend better. And then we're going to pour it out all over these. We're going to let that steep for a little bit. And what I'll do is I will bake these at about 350 for about an hour. And we're preheating the oven now. And we'll go ahead and bake those and show you what they look like after they're done. They are done. They look scrumptious, and I cannot wait for later tonight. We're going to let these cool off, and then we'll reheat them later. Because right now it's only, midday. It's about noon. So we're going to wait till later and have dinner of stuffed bell peppers. Hope you enjoyed my vid. Y'all come back now. Take care. Be good to each other. Bye.